He was ready to end it all, alone, in the silence of the night. No goodbyes, no plans, no one to even notice he was gone. The world seemed to collapse quietly, as if every step he took brought him closer to the end. But fate had other plans. Sometimes life reveals itself in the darkest moment, and all it takes is one sentence, a single sentence spoken by a stranger at the right time. This is the story of a man and of a meeting that changed everything. If this story touches your heart, subscribe to the channel now and share it. You could be the stranger someone out there is waiting for. Before all of this, he was just an ordinary boy, full of dreams, full of plans, full of hope. He believed life was fair, that if you worked hard enough, things would work out. He had an easy smile and an unshakable faith in people. He loved riding his bike through the neighborhood, feeling the wind on his face, imagining the bright future waiting for him. Time went by. He studied, graduated, got a job, and everything seemed to be on track. He met the love of his life, and for a while, happiness felt simple, almost natural. From the outside, he looked like just another good guy trying to make it in life. But inside, he carried something no one could see. An emptiness growing in silence, fed by loss, by disappointment, by broken promises from the real world. He tried to keep smiling, tried to be strong, but little by little, the fire that kept him going began to fade. It all started to fall apart slowly, as if life had pressed a silent, self-destruct button. First came the layoff. No warning, no real explanation. Years of dedication, erased with a single signature. Then the relationship. What once felt like love turned into distance, into silence, into tears hidden in the pillow. She left, and with her went the last place he called home. The bills piled up, the friends disappeared. Little by little, he drifted away from the world, and the world didn't seem to notice. The walls of his home grew colder. Food lost its taste. The mirror no longer reflected anyone he recognized. He stopped answering calls, stopped replying to messages, stopped fighting. Life kept going outside, but inside, everything was in ruins. He began wandering the streets aimlessly, eyes down, avoiding glances, as if ashamed to exist. Every step felt heavier, every night longer, and the same question echoed in his mind. Why keep going? It was a cold night, colder inside than it was outside. He left the house with no destination, not thinking, or maybe thinking too much. The sky was overcast, as if it mirrored exactly how he felt inside. Heavy, lightless, wordless. He walked to the bridge, the same one as always, the one he used to cross every day on his way to work, when he still had a job. Now, it felt like an end, a full stop, silent, lonely, without an audience. He stopped in the middle of the bridge, placed his hands on the railing, and just stood there, listening to the wind, feeling the emptiness. His mind was screaming, but on the outside, he was at peace. Strangely so. As if by deciding to end it all, he had finally found silence. He closed his eyes, took a deep breath, prepared himself, and in that exact moment, a voice came from behind. "Hey." The voice was soft, but strong enough to cut through the wind and the distant noise of traffic. He froze. He wasn't expecting anyone to be there, let alone someone speaking to him. He turned slowly, eyes still wet, and there he was, a man. Simple, brown coat, hands in his pockets, a calm look, like someone who already knew exactly what was happening. "Are you okay?" the stranger asked. No judgment, no rush, no pressure. He tried to hide it, nodded vaguely, but the stranger didn't leave. He stayed, present, calm, and then he said something that the man would remember for the rest of his life. One sentence, simple, direct, but filled with a weight that cut straight through the soul. Don't make a permanent decision based on a temporary feeling. It wasn't loud. It wasn't dramatic. It was just true. As if that stranger knew exactly what needed to be said, and in that moment, something shifted. That sentence kept echoing in his mind. Don't make a permanent decision based on a temporary feeling. It wasn't just about him. It was about everything. About the pain he was feeling, about the desperation that seemed eternal, but maybe wasn't. He didn't answer. He didn't have to. The stranger simply gave a slight nod and walked away, as if he already knew he had done enough. He stood there looking at the ground, then up at the sky, and for the first time in a long time, he cried. But it was a different kind of cry, not of defeat, not of despair. It was the cry of someone who deep down still wanted to live. Slowly he stepped away from the edge of the bridge, slow steps, head down, but with something different inside him. He got home, closed the door, sat on the floor in the living room, and just breathed deeply, as if relearning how to exist. That night he didn't sleep much, but for the first time in months, he wanted to wake up the next day. The change didn't happen overnight. It wasn't magical, it wasn't easy, but it was real. The next morning he left the house early, walked through the same streets as always, but with different eyes. He noticed the sound of birds, the smell of fresh bread from the bakery on the corner, the smile of the old lady tending to her garden, small details he used to miss. He started writing. Loose thoughts, feelings, as if he needed to empty his heart onto the page. He looked for help. It took time, but he reached out to a local organization that offered emotional support. The conversations were hard at first. Talking about the pain was like reliving it. But slowly, he realized there were others just like him, wounded, but rebuilding. He made a promise to himself, to try every day to be a little better than the day before, even if it was just one step. Even if it was just getting out of bed. He started walking in the mornings, eating better, replying to messages from old friends, smiling, even if with hesitation. And then one day, he went back to that same bridge, stood there quietly, looked at the horizon, and whispered, "Thank you." He didn't know if the stranger still passed by there, but something inside him knew. Life wanted him to keep going, and he was finally saying yes. Time passed, and with it came new opportunities. Not big achievements, but small daily victories, the kind that really matter. He found a simple job, nothing fancy, but honest, and most importantly, it made him feel useful again. He reconnected with his parents, asked for forgiveness. They cried together. It felt like rebuilding a broken bridge, brick by brick, with love and patience. He met new people, no longer avoided eye contact, started attending a support group, and over time, he began sharing his story. at first shyly, then with more confidence, until one day he realized he was helping others, doing for them what that stranger had done for him. He started a small online channel, posted short videos sharing stories of resilience, spoke about starting over, about finding meaning even when everything seems lost. One of the videos went viral, thousands of comments, thousands of people saying, "This saved my life. You made me believe it's still worth it." And that's when he understood. The pain that nearly destroyed him became a bridge to help others. One day, while walking through the same park where it all happened, he saw a man sitting on a bench. Lost look, heavy silence. He walked up slowly, sat beside him, and said, "Can I tell you a story?" As he spoke to the man, he went back in time, felt the cold of that night again, heard the wind on that bridge, and most of all, remembered the voice, that stranger's voice, calm, present, steady. The sentence echoed in his mind as if it had just been spoken again, right there. Don't make a permanent decision based on a temporary feeling. He closed his eyes and realized that sentence didn't just save his life, it became a gift, a seed, a cycle of healing. He looked at the man beside him on the bench and said gently, "If you're thinking about giving up, just wait one more day, just one more. Sometimes all it takes is a moment, and everything can change." The man didn't respond, but the tears in his eyes said everything. He stood up, gave a slight nod, and walked away. No applause needed, no recognition. After all, he knew the power of a sentence spoken at the right time. He knew because he had lived it. Maybe you, listening to this right now, are also going through a hard time. Maybe the world feels heavy, the days too dark, and the silence deafening. But breathe. Take your time, because what you're feeling right now, it's real. Yes, but it's not forever. Pain has a voice, but it also has an end. And sometimes all we need is a sign, a sentence, a stranger, or even a video like this. So if this story touched you, don't keep it to yourself. Share it, like it, and subscribe to Twist of Fate. Here, you are never alone, because every life that has value, every pain can be transformed, and every fate can take a new turn. Thank you for being here. We'll see you in the next story.